and we've begun our journey on the Three Lochs Way. This is a 34.5-mile walk starting from here in Balloch, going through Helensburgh, Gairloch Head, Arica, and finishing all the way up in the Southern Highlands in Inveruglas. How annoyed do you look right now?
Don't get me started.
Save the environment, people, because other people just aren't going to do it some days. So we have now left Balloch. We're heading up to the Stony Mullen Road. Now, for those 5 of you who saw my last John Muir Way video, the Three Lochs Way actually shares part of this route, about 3/4 of this route, but it would take a deviation as we hit Helensburgh. So a lot of this may seem familiar, albeit from a different perspective. And behind me is the iconic Loch Lomond, the first of our lochs on this trail, with the second being the Gairloch and the third Loch Long as we head towards the end near Inveruglas. Oh, what's going on here? What are you doing? Unbelievable. Okay, so we've actually just had a rather opportune encounter with a guy who's basically just walking around picking up rubbish, looking very unhappy, and I don't blame him for that. And he has just pointed out there is a little path there off the beaten track where there is a bench up at one of the viewpoints, and I had heard about this, but it's quite difficult to find, so he's kindly shown us the route. And that opportune encounter is going to lead, oh wow, well, we wouldn't have known about this had he not pointed it out. So wow, I believe the bench is just over there. We'll find that in a minute. Here we go. And here is the bench. Wow, it really is tucked away, but what a view. Bit tricky to get down to. And here we go. Look at this. Jane Niven, dedicated to. Right, so we have now made our deviation off of the path that merges with the John Muir Way. So we're now on the Three Lochs Way path that will take us down to the opposite side of Helensburgh. We actually just had a very interesting conversation. The guy who told us where the bench was, he was still hanging around when we came back down. Not in a creepy way, that is. He was still picking up rubbish. And we just walked with him for about 10 minutes. None of his conversation was at all appropriate for this video, but it was very, very funny. Yeah. He's a salty sea dog, as Chris says, a salty sea dog. Very interesting stories. A few controversial things about Mr. John Muir, but that's maybe something for Google. But yeah, it's one of these random encounters that led to finding out a little secret bench and some amazing views and some interesting stories. And there's Helensburgh, just down there. And over across the water, the peninsula, is Roseneath and Kilcreggan. I actually grew up in Kilcreggan for a little while before moving to Helensburgh. It's a tiny little village, very scenic little place. And you have Gorrick and Greenock directly ahead. So we're very close to hitting Helensburgh now, where we'll head along the seafront, up through the centre of the town, onto the hill house, where we then pick up the path heading along towards Balloch Head, which is our destination for today. Now, Helensburgh actually has a pretty substantial claim to fame, and that is that John Logie Baird, the inventor of television, was born here. So yes, you have him to thank for Love Island and Big Brother and all your other favourites. Right, we are now entering civilization again, so we're gonna pop into a few shops, I think, in the centre of Helensburgh, because I need some Lucozade just to give me some pep, and then we'll pick the trail up again from the hill house. And we are just heading to the top of Helensburgh. We are suitably refueled. Chris has repaired his feet because he was having a couple of blisters peeking through. We're heading up to the hill house where we pick up the trail on for the second half of the day, 9.2 miles to Balloch Head. And here we go. So some of you may recognise this from my John Muir Way walk, where we took a right. This time we are taking a left. Let's get going. Right, so I was quite familiar with a good chunk of the first section, having walked that part of the John Muir Way from Helensburgh to Balloch, but I know that was the first for you, Chris. So, what were your opinions on that first section?
It was really lovely. Finding the lovely views at the high point was a real highlight. We were very lucky to get there. Bumping into that old guy who was picking up the litter was really, really good. So it was good that he pointed us in the right direction.
Yeah, he's also quite annoyed about the amount of litter. So come on, people. I know we've just had lockdown lifted, but that's no excuse to be leaving rubbish everywhere. So while you're having fun, you're making someone else unhappy. So behave.
Pick it up, bin it.
Yep, pick it up and bin it. Pick it up and bin it. Well, the first part of section 2 certainly makes you earn your lunch, because it's all uphill. Seriously?
This is video gold.
Hey?
Brilliant.
How? No, see, there's a little hinge. This is ruined now, Chris. It's not happening.
I think we should keep it going. Beautiful.
It's just a gate. They can't even open the gate. So when we were originally discussing this hike, our plan was to essentially do it over 2 days instead of 3, and we're still sticking to that, with our third day climbing the Cobbler in the Arrochar Alps. Now, we had actually planned on camping tomorrow night. Because we're so close to, in proximity to Helensburgh, it just made sense for us to hop on a bus at Balloch Head, and we'd be back in the centre of town within about 10 minutes. So that's what we're sticking to today. But we had a lot of problems actually trying to find somewhere to camp, because it is only a week after the lockdown restrictions on camping have actually been lifted. So unfortunately all of that has had to be thrown out of the window, and we'll just be relying on public transport. So tomorrow, when we actually get to Inveruglas, we're going to head back to Arica. We're going to hop on the train, come back to Helensburgh, and then in the morning Chris's dad is kindly going to pick us up, run us back to Arica, where we're going to climb the cobbler. So it's not an ideal way of doing it, but we're doing it nonetheless. So answer me this question. How come in nearly 30 years of friendship are we only deciding to hike now when we're both 40? And this isn't a midlife crisis thing. We just kind of never got around to it, did we? So,
well, for me, it was kind of my partner Gemma who got me into it. She had a friend who had done a section of the Camino Francés in Spain before, and it gave her a bit of a hankering to do it. So we did a small section of that together. And then I was speaking about it with my dad, and my dad was really interested in doing it. So up until recently, I've been doing it in stages with my dad over the last several years, and we're due to finish it next year.
yeah.
So really, I've got my Gemma to thank for it. What got you into it?
That's a whole other issue. Okay, so, and you've also done the West Highland Way with your dad as well, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right. I forget if we... No, we did the West Highland Way before we even started the Camino, because we wanted to give it a trial run to see if we could stand each other's company for more than 2 hours. And that went well. We really enjoyed it. So it was at that stage that we decided upon doing the Camino Francés. Yeah.
That's it. And we'll be picking up the West Highland Way, which I haven't done. We'll be doing that in pretty much just what, about 5-6 weeks time now, isn't it? So yeah, so that'll be my first time. We're going to do that over 5 days. So, but you know, better late than never. Let's get out in the hills, and when you've got views like this, it just absolutely no regrets. So just make sure you're fit and you've got the mindset for it. So I actually stopped filming for a moment there because a couple of the cows back there weren't looking too pleased with people on the path, so we didn't want to aggravate them any, so we just kept on walking. They're just minding their own business, we're just passing through. So
yeah, they're protective of the young calves as well.
Yeah. Thank you for your milk, thank you for your butter. Even though I'm lactose intolerant, that's not your fault. Okay, so we're cool.
Sorry about the beef bourguignon I've got in my rucksack.
Oh, whoops. Okay. What's actually really noticeable, and this is something I've picked on over many months when I go out for a hike, is that the more remote you are, away from the towns and everything, absolutely everyone you pass, whether it's cyclists, families, just people walking on their own, they all say hello and greet you. And that is the first 3 Lochs Way sign we've seen in hour and a half. How many miles do you think we've done?
5.
5 maybe, yeah. Yeah, so I'm not going to lie, I'm actually feeling quite weary after that. Always scenic, but a lot of road. Although it's a private road, so the traffic is few and far between, but we were maybe about 4 miles from Balloch Head. We're probably going to stop in a minute, have something to eat, just rest up for a little while. We've made really good time. We're pretty much exactly where we thought we would be. Near this spot, the Battle of Glen Fruin was fought between Clan Colquhoun and Clan Gregor on the 7th of February 1603. It is difficult to get historians to agree what the facts were about the Battle of Glen Fruin. However, they will agree that a battle took place there on the 7th of February 1603 between Colquhouns and the MacGregors, that the number of Colquhoun dead was very much greater than MacGregor dead, and that the MacGregors were subsequently severely punished for their actions. Beef bourguignon with red wine. Perfect for the trail.
And some soda bread.
Oh, and some soda bread. We've even spoiled. Wow, Chris. Okay, so we have stuffed our faces, courtesy of Chris, with his beef bourguignon and some soda bread. And we are ready to carry on, feeling completely re-energized now. So, just as well we had that luxury. So, and it's very much a luxury. Beef bourguignon isn't the first thing that really springs to your head when you think of hiking and camping.
Just bring a tin of beans along next time.
Tin of beans next time, yes. So we're learning. It's a learning process. Graceful, Chris, graceful. We're actually heading down to Balloch Head now. The path down there is actually very much off of the beaten track. It basically just runs alongside this fence here, but there are little signs every so often that say the Three Lochs Way. So this takes us down into the village of Balloch Head, where we will end for today, and we'll catch the bus back to Helensburgh before picking the route up again tomorrow morning. So that was an experience in itself. We have literally taken just an invisible path, but there are signs for the Three Lochs Way, but it's just incredibly random. You literally just work your way down through overgrown farmland, follow a fence, and every so often you will see a Three Lochs Way sign pinned to a tree, and we can hear the main road and we know this is where we're supposed to come out, so we are on the right way. But it's such a bizarre detour. Right, normal path now. Ironically, after spending the best part of 7 or 8 miles walking along a concrete road, and then having to veer down randomly in between collapsed walls and overgrown fields, it's actually welcome to see a path again. Well, we have arrived in Balloch Head, and this is where our journey ends for today. So we're going to head back here tomorrow, pick up the trail again, and then carry on through Arica, onto Inveruglas and the end of the Three Lochs Way. Right, good morning. We picked the trail back up at Balloch Head. That's been a bit of a wet half hour actually getting up here. It rained incredibly heavily in the early hours of the morning and carried on through till about 6, so we made the decision to leave an hour later because the weather was actually going to stabilize, and it shouldn't be too bad for the rest of the day actually. So, however, getting back up here we had to climb through a lot of ferns and bracken, and it was all very, very wet. So we're feeling a bit moist, but nothing that won't dry out. Chris is looking decidedly damp. Yes. So we're now going to push on Balloch Head to Arica. It's about 11.5 miles, and from there we head on to Inveruglas, which is about another 6-7 miles to the end of the Three Lochs Way. So I was expecting to feel pretty tired when I woke up this morning after the fairly lengthy trek yesterday, and a lot of it was on quite heavy tarmac and the start of it was generally all uphill, but feeling absolutely fine. It's actually nice to not be in the tarmac anymore. We're just going through a little forest path and it's generally quite squishy underfoot, so it's much more comfortable on the feet. Military hut, not in use for the public.
Whoa. That looks stable. I'll go first.
Hang on. Yeah, I was just across it.
Yeah, okay.
That is an accident waiting to happen, and it's been taped off as well, so So, as you probably would have seen from that bridge back there, that wasn't safe. Someone's basically just laid down a few planks, but I would say if you're a heavier person, then that could potentially be an issue. And the route we're actually on at the moment is, again, it's just very much a makeshift path, but I do believe from the Three Lochs website that it all comes down to public funding, and the more people invest in this trail, the more they can actually sort out pathways and whatnot, because at the moment we're basically just walking through lots and lots of bracken and long grass, and there is the occasional bridge like this one I'm walking over just now that's been put in place, but yeah, I mean, it just comes down to public funding, so just about supporting your local area, and then hopefully in a few years time, if this path gains more prominence, because I think it's generally not that well known, it might be easier for people to actually tackle. Boiling away nicely. And Kenko. This feels like a proper Scottish trail to me.
Yeah, it does.
You've got the mountains, you've got, it's like kind of that kind of very light misty rain, and then you've got all the fog on top of the hills. It feels very traditionally Scottish. So we've got 3.5 miles left until we hit Arica. Skies have cleared up. It's actually getting quite warm, so I'd expect in the next hour, hour and a half, things will actually start drying up around us. I'm gonna have to take this off because I'm feeling very, very warm. And we've just hit a stretch of path that I've seen in a lot of pictures that I couldn't wait to get to. Got Loch Lomond running next to us. The views are absolutely amazing. We're going up. We're going up. Get those muscles working. Yeah, we're definitely being taunted by the weather, aren't we? So, when we talk of showing you good views and how it was getting warmer, the moment I stopped to open my bag, take my stuff out, put on a lighter top, close the bag up, it started raining and the mist kicked in. So then we stopped again, put on the waterproofs, we put the waterproofs on, and now it stopped raining and the sun has come out and we're feeling warm again. So, but the views are back, so get a load of this. Three Lochs Way sign. It's absolutely beautiful around here, but it's very muddy. Squish. I'm running it. Ugh. That was a bad idea. Whew. I cannot feel my shoulders. So I hold my hands up to still being relatively in the rookie stage of being a hiker and a camper, but the one thing I've definitely learned today that is incredibly valuable are gaiters, because the early parts of the course today and this part now, they proved absolutely invaluable. So let's have your thoughts on the last few miles on that track.
I didn't see a track. It's just mud and hillside.
There's a lot of I think there's a lot of like tractors and everything that go up here because there are sheep up there, so it kind of grinds up the track, and because it was very heavy rain last night, it's very, very muddy.
Yeah.
But again, gaiters for the win. But,
yeah.
Sorry, Chris.
I've had worse. Sorry.
You've had worse. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so again, kind of a makeshift route to get over. Ugh. So yeah, you basically got either the choice of the bridge, which is still, I guess, being retrofitted, or you can come down the embankment, but given it's quite slippy and it's not necessarily the safest route, so just a case of having to make do. And here we are at the train station in Arica. This marks the end of stage 3. Now we push on to the final stage all the way to Inveruglas. So this last section from Arica to Inveruglas looks largely to be wooded, which is awesome news for me because that's surely my favourite type of walk. So I'm thoroughly looking forward to this. 6 miles. When we get to Inveruglas, We believe there may be a bus that will actually take us back to Balloch, and then we can get the train from Balloch back to Helensburgh. If not, we're walking this route back. Hands up who wants to live in the woods. I want to live in the woods. It's much cooler here now. Coats have come off again for about the 10th time today. And I can just see peeking through the trees, I think, is the edge of the loch. So hopefully we're going to get some good views shortly. So the cobbler is there and we can barely make it out. It's absolutely covered in clag, and the clouds are really low. And I think realistically we're going to need to assess this at the end of the day as to whether we attempt it tomorrow, because we're both inexperienced in terms of climbing the cobbler, and safety first. And there's going to be, we're still in the peak of summer, even though we're in Scotland. Yes, I appreciate that. But sure. We'll perhaps pick a nicer weekend. We can just hop on the bus, come out for the day, and attempt it when it's sunnier and get some better views as well, because I think the views are going to be severely restricted. So compared to this morning, where although that was only about 11.5 miles, it really felt like it was a lot longer. We're already halfway through this walk and it feels like we've been on it 5 minutes. It's probably because we're enjoying it so much, with it being a walk through the woods, and it's just generally very nice and pleasant and it's cool, and it's going to be over before we know it. So we are very, very nearly at the end of the Three Lochs Way. We are now also on the Loch Lomond and Cowell Way. Flies, flies. So we are about a mile from the end, and this route is actually quite punishing towards the end. There's a lot of uphill and a lot of narrow footpaths through a lot of greenery. Oh, I'm not gonna lie, what started off as a lovely little start to this section was basically there just to lull you into a false sense of security, because it has been a lot of uphill on narrow paths, going through long grass, and we are exhausted. There is just over half a mile left, but that was a sneaky little bugger of a section. It just snuck up on you, but the views are absolutely amazing. Oh, so that was unfortunate. The gate back there, we came through, and there was a 4x4 stuck on the bridge because the trailer had turned at an awkward angle and wouldn't move any further. So they asked us if we could help them lift the trailer, but it was too heavy and no one could manage that. And So it's now been about 15 minutes. They were finally able to get going, and we've missed the bus that we probably would have made, I think, at Inveruglas. So we're going to have to walk the 6 miles all the way back. I really hope they have the cafe they have here is open, because we need a rest. "450 yards till the end." Oh, right. There's definitely been some sort of mileage misunderstanding, because that was not just over 6 miles. Although we've been walking for 2.5 hours and it's been uphill, it's definitely not been 6 miles. And we're quite concerned about the time, because we need to walk all the way back to get the train. And we're here. The end of the Three Lochs Way. That was a long day, long day. We are at the end. You fancy a jog back to the station, Chris?
No, thank you.
No, thank you?
Just a slow painful slog will be fine, thank you.
Did you enjoy yourself, Chris?
This last 6 miles now.
No? Hey, and it was 6 miles. It was.
You just keep telling yourself that.
Get onto Ordnance Survey if you have a problem with it. It was 6 miles. It was 6 miles. Hey, so we're now heading back to Arica, ready to catch our train home. I'm not gonna lie, I'm feeling the best. My anxiety's quite high. It's just kind of a combination of underestimating this last section. It's only 6 miles, felt a lot longer. I've looked into it, even the cafe at the end says it's only 6 miles, but because it's a lot of uphill, winding through mountains, narrow paths, it just feels a lot longer, and I think it was just mentally quite draining. And by the time we actually got there, there were a lot of people, and I just wasn't really feeling the need for any fanfare. So apologies if the videos ended on a bit of a down note. There wasn't the high-fiving, but Three Lochs Way, 34 miles from Balloch to Inveruglas, first multi-day hike of 2020 complete. And I want to thank everyone for joining me. We're not going to be doing the cobbler tomorrow. I think it's just a sensible decision. Like I say, I'm really, at the moment, I'm just not really feeling the need to want to do it. We haven't been able to show it to you today simply because of the changing weather. And realistically, the weather's not likely to improve tomorrow, and just through relative inexperience and not being able to show you the amazing views, I would prefer to kind of just come back, and this is fairly local for us, so we can easily be here in about 40 minutes. I'd like to come back on a nice day, take it leisurely up to the top of the cobbler and show you those amazing views. But fortunately that won't be this time around, but that will be another video coming at some point, so please look out for that. West Highland Way in a few weeks feels quite daunting now, actually, but I've been excited about it for a long time, and at the moment it's just, I just want to go home. So thank you for joining me on this journey. Everyone take care, and by all means do this walk. It's an amazing walk. Just be prepared for how deceptive that last section can be. Thanks again, guys. Bye.